Welcome to Around Town as we get ready to celebrate Labor Day. And of course, you know, it comes to Labor Day. Right after that this year is the primary, Election Day. And of course, combine that with the apple season, football, soccer, you name it, baseball comes down to the final days. And I'm off to Michigan in a couple of weeks for my annual Wolverine game, but anyhow, I have with me the Lord High Sheriff of of Merrimack County, you know, and it's always good to see Scott Hilliard here. And
thank you for having me.
Well, hey, it's a pleasure having you. And I know you're up for election. You got a primary fight.
That's correct. Yes.
But also wanted you to come on day two to talk about Senator McCain, because you were on TV. They interviewed you.
Yes. Yeah.
And I didn't know you were that friendly with.
I was very friendly. I supported President Bush in 2000.
Yeah.
And I supported John McCain in 2008. It really was a sad day when I saw that he passed. I knew it was coming, but there's a lot of us who got a lot of fond memories of.
Are you going to Washington tomorrow or Saturday?
I'm not. I can't. Unfortunately, I'm committed to working the fair, which I work every year, so the Hopkinton Fair.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go, but unfortunately I can't. So.
Yeah.
So.
I know Steve Dupre's out there today.
Yeah.
He's one of the honorary bearers, supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, Jimmy Carter had brain cancer, but I guess it had to be a different
form.
Supposedly he's cured, but he's 90-something odd years old.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird how that stuff goes.
I think it's called glioblastoma or something like that.
I know.
A friend of mine had it, and he lasted 6 weeks.
Wow.
He got diagnosed with it, and he was gone 6 weeks later. So it's pretty aggressive, I understand. But I'm saddened that he's gone, because you know, I really think, Dick, you and I probably share a common denominator in that, you know what, we both hold political office, but you know what, bipartisan is important. You know, we're here to serve the people, not the party, and not our best interest or anything else. And so, you know, I think it was a message that he sent, and I think I don't know how you feel, but to have your two opponents that you lost the presidential election to speak at your funeral, I think it speaks volumes.
Of course it does. And today, the former vice president speaking in Arizona at that memorial service. I mean, I like Joe Biden a lot. Yeah. And because he was talking about how he helped his son Bo when he had cancer or something. But, you know, so you know, it just shows that people, the old party can get along. Some of them can get along. But
exactly.
This new group coming in.
No, I agree.
I don't know.
This bipartisan bickering is you know, it's. I think the people in New Hampshire are obviously clearly independent-minded, thinking people, but I think the average voter is just fed up with that stuff. You know, you know, you have an issue, you have a mission. Like my job, you know, I once was asked a question by a pretty staunch Republican about abortion, and I said, "Listen, the sheriff has nothing to do with abortion.
Yeah.
The sheriff is there. Like you, we have to pick a party to run in by the Constitution, and but when you get elected, you serve everybody. You serve the Democrats, the Independents, the Republicans, and the non-voters.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what I said too the other day.
Yeah.
When I was interviewed, I said, I'm not afraid to cross the aisle too, and I have many friends who are Republicans or libertarians.
Right.
Yeah, I'm open to anything. I mean, yes, I'm a Democrat, but I still, you know, and that's the same thing with national politics. You know, I look at see what they're standing for, and who I think would be the best one. But I don't know. But no, I know that when his body goes to Washington, he'll be lying in state at the Rotunda.
Right.
And this is something that's a little surprising, because not surprising, but for him, it's more, there's really going beyond, because Kennedy, of course, he didn't. He just went, they drove by, they stopped there.
Right.
And the people came out and
Yeah.
paid their respects to the casket and all that. But I remember the only senators that I remember being in lying in state was Everett Dirksen years ago. He would lied in state, laid in state, but I don't know of any. I did say Robert Byrd lied in repose there in the Senate chambers, but this is really
kind of unique.
I asked Steve if they were going to do the caisson and all that for him, and he didn't think so, but I assume there will be a Navy band there to play music as that casket comes up.
Right.
Goes into the rotunda. I mean, I don't know about ruffles and flourishes, because I know that they do that for the presidents, and and for the generals, but I don't know about senators who have been in the service like that.
Right.
If they do like 1 or 2 ruffles or what, I don't know.
Right.
But
no, me either.
You know, it's going to be a big one. I mean, and same way on Saturday at the National Cathedral.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that some of the conversations we've had about Senator McCain, and you know, obviously his character.
Yeah.
When he was campaigning in '08, Dan St. Hilaire and I boarded the Straight Talk Express for the day. We had several stops. I remember at the end of the day, I was exhausted, and Senator McCain was still ready to go. You know, you know, and because he had a few years on me, but he was just a man of such character and funny. His sense of humor was always on tap. You know, I mean, I'd see him, and he'd come up and he'd give me a big hug, and I still to this day didn't think he knew my first name, because he always called me Sheriff.
Yeah.
You know, he never called me Scott.
Yeah.
But what a great guy.
Well, you know, and the other thing too is, of course, I think what really opened my eyes up, and I have a whole new respect for him, is what happened in Vietnam.
Yeah.
How he was tortured and held prisoner for 5 years in confinement.
Yeah.
And once they found out that he was a son of a popular admiral or whatever, I think it was admiral.
Yep.
And you know, he could have come home, but he chose to stay with his men.
That's right.
You know, that speaks very.
Yes, it does.
And he was injured, and
Yeah.
But of course, there again, my grandfather was a prisoner of war in World War II, the Japanese, and he was. You know, he told stories of that torture. And stuff. Oh
Yeah.
And he really was never right when we first, you know, when he came back. But through the years, I mean, he would remember stuff just like it was yesterday.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it's like, what the heck? And,
yeah.
You know, you get this distrust of people, and you don't know what.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Well, I enjoyed immensely his friendship, and I told in my interview with Channel 9, I said, you know, I was truly honored to be his friend, and you know, he'd come back to New Hampshire, and I'd get a call from somebody in his office and say, hey, the senator is coming, he wants to see you, say hi, you know, whatever. Right? I mean, he was really like that. You know, I was telling a story to some friends the other day, but he was famous for his town hall forums, and we were up in Hopkinton at a town hall, and we were in, the room wasn't all that big, but there was packed. There was a lot of people in there. And this one guy got up to ask a question, and you could tell he was frustrated. I don't think he was frustrated with the senator, but he was frustrated with politics. So he started to raise his voice, and he kept moving in closer. We had a rope line, and he was getting, each time the senator would answer his question, he'd ask another one, and the crowd was kind of getting upset that he was, you know, kind of taking up all the time. So he gets a little bit closer and he raises his voice a little more. So we were seated and the senator was walking around with the microphone talking.
Yeah.
So I stood up, and the senator spotted me, and he come over and he whispered in my ear. He said, Scott, I got this. Sit back down. So I sat back down, and afterwards, Dick, I thought about it, and I'm like, here's a man who was tortured for 5 years, surely some angry guy at a town hall forum isn't gonna scare John McCain, you know. And afterwards he said, you know, sometimes letting those people vent, whether it's at me or about politics or frustration, then he said that works well. And but I just thought it was funny afterwards. I sat down and said, geez, this guy's been tortured, you know. I'm sure he's not going to be intimidated by an angry citizen. So.
But I saw those images, and I still can see them. And it's like, wow. So I'm hoping to watch a lot of it on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
I taped some of it today, but
yeah.
you know, I mean, in New Hampshire, I can only remember one senator that's lied and stayed at the state capitol in Concord, and that was Stiles Bridges.
Oh wow.
Back in the early '60s.
Yeah. Wow.
When he died, but
Right.
you know, it's just I like to do research on those. I've watched the Kennedy, the Reagan funerals, Nixon funeral.
Yeah.
I always pick out something different every each time I watch them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
But
Wow.
no, I'll tell you, Scotty, it's been a real, you know, thing for the campaign. You think you'll ever bring the sheriff's office back to Concord?
I don't know, Dick. It's the commissioners are in the midst of working on what they're going to do in the courthouse. You know, we've got programs that have got to go in there.
Yeah.
Whether the county attorney's office moves in there, I don't know. But surely the space needs that we had there, we still have the downstairs. But you know, there was, as you know, you worked there. There was no space, and we had no choice but to go to Boston. You know, but I'd like to be back in Concord.
Yeah.
I really would. But I keep an office here, so I come down. I try to come down once a week, and you know, I haven't made it during the campaign because obviously I'm out doing other things, as you well know, putting out signs and that stuff. So but I'd like to, and again, it's going to be a decision as to who goes in there and how much it costs to remodel it. So,
you know, like yesterday in the interview I had, the opponent has got so many things she's promised, and that's fine. But like I told him, I said, you were just one of 400
That's right.
representatives.
That's right.
And you may want to go in there with the highest enthusiasm, but I'll tell you,
Yeah.
you're going to get shot down because
Exactly.
very easily, because you know that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm working on bills I'm going to submit, but
Yeah.
trouble is, if I'm hoping to get reelected, but
Right.
it's just one person.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know?
Yep.
And usually the ruling party
Takes care of
most everything. You get the leftovers.
That's right. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So
That's interesting, Dick, because you know you hear people and you know, obviously you've been around for a while, but you hear people say things that, you know, like they're going to change the world. Or,
oh yes.
You know.
Yeah.
One of the things a citizen recently, I was at a parade. I was getting ready to walk in the parade. And a citizen asked me, you know, questions about why people would be running for sheriff. And I said, well, it's a law enforcement position, first off, because one of my opponents has no law enforcement experience at all. And I think, you know, I mean, it's very important that you have it. It's very important. My other opponent in the Republican primary, he has no budget experience, no management experience, and no leadership experience.
Yeah.
He worked for me. I know this. So I think that it's very important when you understand. You know, you have almost 70 employees.
Yep.
You have a $4.6 million budget. You sit on my budget committee. You know, it's a constant work in progress, and you got to understand that stuff, because the minute you don't pay attention to the management issues and the administration and the budget, you've got a whole host of problems. So years ago, I think in the election for a sheriff, you know, you could pick somebody who maybe didn't have that experience, but not now, not the way things go now. And you know, one of the things that I like to get out and meet the people and answer their questions. My opponents aren't doing that. I think they just think they put out signs and
I have to admit, I have not been around because it's hard for me to get around.
Right.
I have to admit, I have not been because we have so many apartments or complexes
Yeah.
that you can't go into.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And they tell you
No soliciting.
solicitation.
Yeah.
And we had 2 candidates in Jensen's, and they got told.
Yeah. Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's the way it goes.
Right.
And you know, as I told them yesterday, I said, you know, it's not a rich position.
Right. No.
You get $100 a year.
Yeah. After
and
taxes.
No.
Before taxes.
Before
Excuse me.
taxes. They take taxes out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then I said, you get no mileage, so it's
Yeah.
not a position if you're
Yeah.
looking for a full-time job.
Job.
That's not it.
No, you can't.
You know,
Right.
or if you're hoping to latch into something else as a full-time job, and
Right.
but then you
Yeah.
can't be one of those. But
Right.
you know, it's I don't know. That's why a lot of the young ones don't stay
chase
in
it, right.
because they can't afford. They got to have a job.
Sure. Yep. That's
But,
understandable. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and so I'm not. Like I said, I refuse to get into this name calling thing
Oh,
or
yeah.
this. What are you gonna, you know, this and that? No way. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's, you know, the voters out there don't want to hear that. They don't
No.
want to, you know, talk about the issues. That's why, you know, as I've said, it's important to get out to these things, whether it's a parade or a candidates forum
Yeah.
or what, when you can. I mean, you can't make all of them, but it's important that the people want to know, you know, why are you running for sheriff? What are you going to do? You know, why are you running for state representative? What are you going to do? You know, and they have the right to know that. And in my case, it appears people put the name on the ballot, and you know, but
Well, my opponent's she has never voted since she's been in this country
right,
and registered to vote the same day she filed for state rep.
state
So
rep,
I don't
right,
know.
right.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
it's like I told him, it's a free country.
That's right.
Anybody can file.
That's right.
You know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
go from there. But
Exactly.
I will not accept donations. I don't solicit donations, and that's where it goes.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, some of my cohorts will say, "Gee, I send out letters to," and you'll be surprised letters I get from
Right.
out of state politics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I'm
exactly.
going to send you something.
Right. Exactly.
Or there's an event going on and somebody's having a barbecue for somebody.
Right.
Sure, it's free.
Yeah.
Then you see the little thing, $25 to walk in the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
$100 for this, or $1,000 for a table. And
Right. Yeah.
They don't I don't have that kind of money.
I don't either.
So, you know, good luck
Yeah.
to somebody else. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it can be a very costly thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And if somebody's retiring, they look for a donation for
Right.
this or that.
Right.
I mean, I can remember when the clerk retired a couple of years ago, you know, they were looking for a minimum of $25.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it is. It's
Those add up after a while.
It does.
Yeah.
And when you don't make the money, I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, $100, you don't get much out of that. So,
Yeah.
but
exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, Scott. The Merrimack County seems to be kind of quiet. I haven't
Right.
heard too much crime going on.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
No,
murders,
I think it is. We're kind of dealing with a lull. I mean, you know, the drug issue is still the drug issue, Dick. That's not going to change, or at least I think we're. I call it gaining ground, but maybe we're not losing as much ground as we were for a period of time. I do understand that there's some additional federal money that's coming in New Hampshire to target the opiate issue, treatment, mental health treatment, and enforcement as well. So, but I was just talking to a man downtown, and it drives everything that happens. If you look at the Merrimack County Attorney's indictment list last month, you'll see that 65% of it was drug related.
Yeah.
And the other 35% is crimes, robberies, thefts
Yeah.
that people are committing to get drugs, to get money for drugs. So it's almost like 90%.
Do you
Really?
get a lot of comments about? Of course, the news carries all this stuff,
Right.
TV.
Right.
But when you see about some of these law enforcements that are shooting the Afro-American people
Right.
or whatever, what is that? What do you get for? Are you getting comments like that?
I don't. I hear more support comments course, you know, we're a small state, so we're not as affected by it. The one thing that I have noticed lately is the appreciation that people will say to me, you know, thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or my deputies when they're out and about. And I think it has the effect that, you know, I mean, there were a lot of cops getting killed the last couple of years, and the respect for law enforcement during that period of time was, I don't know, it just wasn't a good time. And you know, what we're seeing now is that trying to recruit people. You know, people don't want to do this job. They've been watching the last 2 years.
The thing, man.
You know, cops getting killed for, you know, $50,000 a year. And, you know, it's not quite what it is.
There's one on TV last night. He's up for murder charges.
Yeah, I saw that.
And boy,
Down south,
that's
yeah.
it's too bad because
Right.
you know, I mean, your life is just as precious as anybody else's life.
That's
but
right.
You never
Yeah.
know. You don't
That's
know what
right.
you're walking into.
No, you have no idea. And that's why I think it's so important that, you know, obviously we send people to the police academy to train in that, but there's also, you gotta make it realistic with them. You know, we're pretty well, I'm not, nobody's completely safe in this business, but you know what, we live in a nice state that, and most of it is, you know, I think the drugs are what's changing things, not for the better sometimes, but people, most of the people appreciate what you do, you know.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's tough.
yeah,
It really is.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when in the State House, people submit bills. They go to a committee. They change either amendments or tacked on.
right.
Then they come to the House floor. And
Right.
how many times have you seen amendments?
Right.
Then comes the roll call
Right.
or a division.
Right.
And how many times does that get?
Yeah.
You just don't submit a bill and think, oh
Right.
yeah, no. There's a lot of changes to
Changes,
those
yeah,
bills.
yeah.
I mean, I've sat in the transportation. I've seen it
Yeah.
in fishing game or whatever. But
Yeah.
people don't, unless
Yeah.
they're there,
Yeah.
they don't realize what
Yeah.
the committees do.
Right. Are you still on fishing game?
No,
Yeah.
I was on transportation for a
Right.
number of years. Then I was switched on to federal, state, and judicial this last year.
Okay.
And it was interesting, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Your cup of tea?
No,
Yeah.
it was because it dealt with the gentleman out west that got arrested with that gun issue there in
Oh,
Nevada.
yeah. From Rochester.
Yes,
That way.
that was that, and also they want to have a convention of the states, and that's all we only had 5 bills.
Right. Well,
So I like being busy, but you
Yeah.
know, who knows? I'm hoping that if I get reelected, I can go back on transportation or go
Yeah.
for maybe
right.
election law or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I wish you the best. I know that we're coming to a close, but
Yeah.
I really wish you the best, Scott.
Thank you.
Of course.
And I wish you the best. So.
Well, you know, I'll write a letter of support
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the November one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I hope I can really
Yeah.
get back in.
Yeah.
This first test will be a good one. I
Right.
mean,
Right. Right.
But
Well, it's up to the voters, and I ask each
in
individual voter.
primaries, they don't come out.
I know. That's the other
A lot
issue.
of people don't
Yeah.
like primaries.
Right. And that's why I've been talking to my supporters and saying, please talk to your family, get them out to vote in the
Yeah.
primary,
Yeah,
and they'll come out, some of them in the general. So,
I know, because the undeclareds don't realize they
Right.
can come out and vote and go right back
Right.
up to the supervisors,
Right.
the checklist, and undeclare.
Undeclare, that's
They
right.
don't know that.
I just told my barber that the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I'll tell you, how much have you spent, just out of curiosity, how much did you spend?
I got pretty close to $2,000 wrapped up in signs and fuel and that stuff.
I've used all my signs I've
Yeah.
had for 15 years,
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Well, I can't afford to
Buy new.
you know?
Yeah. They're expensive.
I lost,
Yeah.
I've lost a few this year
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but anyway, I hope I'm sure you're going to be all set,
Yeah.
and knock on wood, we both make it through the
That's right.
primary because
That's
I'm
right.
leaving the next day for Michigan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
enjoy your trip, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, you too, Scotty.
Yeah.
We've been visiting with Merrimack County Sheriff Scott Hilliard, and if you have any questions, he'd love your support. So be
Yes.
sure to get out there on September 11th to vote for him and me on separate ballots. But we really are looking for your support. So with that in mind, thanks for joining us, and thank you to Ian, my director, and we hope to see you all soon. I'm your host, Patten.